Arsenal fans know the name Gabriel Martinelli all too well, but outside the Emirates, his reputation has never quite matched his performances. Signed as a teenager from Brazil's lower leagues, he was tipped to be Arsenal's next great star. He's quick, fearless, and devastating one-on-one. Yet, despite producing big numbers, contributing to title races, and earning praise from legends like Jurgen Klopp, Martinelli continues to fly under the radar. In this deep dive, we'll break down Martinelli's journey, his stats, his critics, and the reasons why he remains so criminally underrated. Grab your seats, this one's going to be intense. Number 1. From unknown to Arsenal's diamond. In 2019, Arsenal shocked the footballing world when they signed a teenager from Brazil's Serie D club, Ituano. Gabriel Martinelli cost just £6 million, peanuts in modern football. Many fans thought he'd be a project for the future. But within months, he was lighting up the Premier League. His breakout moment? Stamford Bridge, January 2020. A 60-yard solo run, slicing through Chelsea's midfield, sprinting past N'Golo Kante, and calmly finishing beyond Kepa. That goal wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement. This kid was fearless. At just 18, Martinelli scored 10 goals in his debut season, the most by any teenager in Arsenal history since Nicolas Anelka. Jurgen Klopp famously called him the talent of the century. Yet, somehow, his name never carried the same hype as Phil Foden, Mason Greenwood, or even Bukayo Saka, his own teammate. Why? Because Martinelli's rise came from the shadows, not the academies of Europe's elite clubs. He wasn't polished, he was raw fire. Number 2. Elite output hidden in plain sight. Fast forward to 2022-23, Arsenal's surprise title charge. While much of the spotlight fell on Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, and even Jesus, Martinelli quietly became Arsenal's joint top scorer in the league with 15 goals and 5 assists. That's more league goals than Jack Grealish, Jadon Sancho, and Kai Havertz combined. But here's the kicker. Martinelli didn't just score. His advanced metrics were world-class. He ranked 94th percentile among wingers for non-penalty goals, 88th percentile in expected goals plus assists, 86th percentile in progressive carries, and 96th percentile in progressive passes received. That means he was constantly creating danger zones, stretching defenses, and getting into scoring positions. Yet, the media narrative after Arsenal's near miss in the title race focused on Saka's brilliance and Haaland's dominance. Martinelli's contributions barely made the headlines. And when 2023-24 came around, injuries and tactical adjustments reduced his goal tally, but the underlying numbers still painted him as elite. Football, however, isn't always kind to numbers. Narratives matter more than stats, and Martinelli's narrative was being overshadowed. Number 3. Arsenal's workhorse, consistency and reliability. Martinelli may not always grab the headlines, but ask Mikel Arteta who he trusts, and Martinelli is near the top of that list. Since 2019, he's logged more minutes than almost any Arsenal forward. Why? Because he's reliable. He averages nearly 2 successful dribbles per 90 minutes, higher than Bukayo Saka. His pressing intensity is relentless. He's one of Arsenal's best at leading the press, winning the ball high, and forcing defensive mistakes. And he's durable. After recovering from a serious knee injury in 2020, he's remained available for the majority of Arsenal's campaigns, something often overlooked when critics call him inconsistent. Fans often underestimate how much trust Arteta places in him. He's not a luxury winger, he's a system player who makes Arsenal tick. Number 4. The weight of expectations. But here's where the story shifts. Because of his breakthrough, Martinelli was expected to become the next Neymar. That's unfair pressure. Critics point to his dip in raw numbers. In terms of goal contributions per 90, Martinelli records 0.46, less than Reiss Nelson, 0.56, and Nicolas Pepe, 0.65. Some fans argue that makes him inefficient. Add in matches where he seems quiet or fails to deliver the final pass, and frustration builds quickly. During a preseason friendly in 2024, fans even demanded he be sold at halftime after a poor showing. Yes, preseason. That shows how quickly perceptions swing. But is it really fair? Martinelli's role has changed. With Havertz and Jesus rotating, Odegaard pulling strings, and Arsenal emphasizing balance, Martinelli often sacrifices his own stats for the team shape. That's something critics rarely see these things. Number 5. Fans, critics, and the underrated label. The Arsenal fanbase is split. On one hand, there are those who praise him endlessly. Martinelli is so underrated. He should be among the best wingers in the world. His mentality is elite. On the other hand, some argue he lacks vision. He slows down attacks, doesn't scan the pitch, and becomes predictable. The truth. Both sides are partly right. Martinelli is a chaos player, sometimes breathtaking, sometimes frustrating. But in football, these are the players who often go underappreciated. They don't always fit neat tactical boxes, so their impact gets lost in the debate. Number 6. The numbers don't lie. Martinelli versus Rodrigo. Now, let's get nerdy and bring in a direct comparison with Real Madrid's Rodrigo, another young Brazilian winger who is celebrated as one of the elite. Here's how they compared in 2023-24 per 90 minutes. Metric: Martinelli, Arsenal; Rodrigo, Real Madrid. Goals per 90, 0.27, 0.38. Assists per 90, 0.18, 0.19. Goals plus assists per 90, 0.45, 0.57. Non-penalty XG per 90, 0.31, 0.44. XG plus XAG per 90, 0.58, 0.59. Progressive carries, 127, 159. Progressive passes received, 345, 301. Breaking it down. Rodrigo does edge Martinelli in pure goalscoring, 0.38 versus 0.27. But when it comes to assists, expected output, and overall goal involvement, Martinelli is right there with him, just a fraction behind. What's more, Martinelli actually surpasses Rodrigo in progressive passes received, 345 to 301, showing he positions himself more frequently in dangerous zones to receive the ball. Rodrigo leads in progressive carries, reflecting his tendency to drive forward from deeper areas, but Martinelli's role as a constant outlet for Arsenal is just as impactful. So while Rodrigo is hailed as a world-class winger at Real Madrid, Martinelli's numbers prove he's performing at a nearly identical level, without the same recognition. This is exactly why he's underrated. The numbers tell you he belongs in that elite bracket, but the narrative doesn't. Number 7. The road ahead. So, why is Gabriel Martinelli underrated? Injuries slowed his hype. Unfair, Neymar comparisons created impossible expectations. Saka's spotlight meant his brilliance often stayed in the shadows. Stats versus narratives, he produces, but the eye test sometimes frustrates. But make no mistake, Martinelli is 23 years old. He's entering his prime. The rawness will refine, the decision-making will sharpen, and his numbers will climb again. With Arsenal challenging at the very top, his contributions could soon become undeniable. Mark my words, in a few years, people will look back and realize Arsenal had not just one generational winger in Saka, but two, with Gabriel Martinelli. In conclusion, Gabriel Martinelli is a story of hard work, underrated brilliance, and misunderstood impact. He may not yet have the brand power of Neymar or the numbers of Salah, but his influence is real. So now I turn it to you. Is Martinelli underrated, or are fans expecting too much too soon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. This has been your football breakdown. I'll see you in the next one.